take a look back at last year at the Ectotron figure. I'm pretty sure when this was announced and came out, we all thought this was just going to be an isolated incident. A cool little crossover figure that would be a nice exclusive, and if anyone got it, it would be really cool to have. And all of that was correct except for one thing. This year happened and we found out that Ectotron is not an isolated incident. With the announcement and releases of two other crossover figures such as the Top Gun Maverick figure and the one that we're going to be taking a look at today. All I can really say in excitement is just great Scott! This is the Back to the Future crossover Gigawatt.
What the hell is a gigawatt?
Alright, let's talk about that first. Yes, in the movie it's pronounced Gigawatt, but in my opinion, honestly, Gigawatt sounds better, just sounds better for the name. It just depends on how you want to call this guy, whether you want to call him Gigawatt or Gigawatt. Me personally, I'm going to stick with a Gigawatt. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, look at this thing! This is an astonishingly accurate representation of the Back to the Future DeLorean. Honestly, the only thing that's really missing up at the front here is just the DMC, the company logo up at the front. I can't really say I understand why they didn't do that, but I'm not going to complain. It's not that big of a deal. This guy has everything else that you could ever want. Coming back here to the back, you've got all this colorful detail. Even the taillights and the license plate are filled in. Granted, I think the taillights continue underneath these things here, but, I mean, if it really bothers you, you can just paint it yourself, and I might, so we'll see how it goes. But yes, this is incredible. And I'm so happy to have this. And not only does it look good, especially alongside Ectotron in his vehicle mode, you get options on what you can do with this. Coming back here to the back, you can take the Mr. Fusion, and it's removable. And you can see there, that's where they would put the plutonium in, and it's just a nice look on how it looked in the first movie. Me personally, I prefer to have it there on the back. A lot of people have been saying that their Mr. Fusion is having a hard time sticking onto the back, but mine doesn't really have that problem, and I'm very happy about it. So once you have Mr. Fusion on, you can have it drive like a regular car, like it did the end of the first movie, beginning of the second movie, or you can flip down the wheels and have him fly. I'm so happy that I can do this. Like, I don't think anyone else can really ask for much more for this guy to do in vehicle mode. And I'm sure that if you're looking for the look from Back to the Future 3, you can honestly just 3D print up the piece yourself and just stick it right there on the hood. Another accessory that Gigawatt comes with is the hook from the first Back to the Future movie. And I've got to say, I'm not a fan of this accessory. Mainly because right out of the box, it's completely warped like this. And I really just don't feel like fixing it, mainly because I didn't like this accessory when it was announced with the figure. But if you decide that you like the thing and you decide to straighten it out, you can just stick it right here in this hole in the back right up here, and now you're ready to go back to 1985 from 30 years in the past. Taking a quick break from him for a second, I want to talk about the box. Because yet again, they completely nailed the artwork on this. Not only do they make it look and feel like it's a figure from G1, but they also added a few alterations. One of the notable differences is here on the back, which has a little bit of artwork from Back to the Future as opposed to G1 Transformers artwork. Part of me wishes that it had some different G1 artwork than Ectotron here, but I can't say I'm disappointed. Another thing that his box does differently is that while this side opens normally, like outward, this side, the side that has the DeLorean backing out of the trailer, actually opens downward like a trailer. I know you've all already seen that in other people's reviews, but screw you, I wanted to talk about it. But yes, it's a very lovely box, and I will be keeping it. One last quick look at Gigawatt here, and all I gotta say is it's beautiful. It's a very faithful representation of the Back to the Future DeLorean. But if my calculations are correct, when we get this guy into robot mode, you're gonna see some serious shit. And here we come to the robot mode, and my word, this guy is handsome. I love that you start off the transformation by opening up the gull-wing doors. That's brilliant, and a great way to include them. Kind of breaks the sculpting a little bit, because this is where the door ends and it still adds on this, but I don't think anyone's really going to complain. It's still awesome. But yes, check this guy out. He looks phenomenal. Head looks really good, although he kind of seems like he's looking down constantly, or maybe that's just my weird feeling of it. I don't know, still looks nice though. On the chest, you've got the flip-out panel with the flux capacitor and the time gauges. So awesome. Just the detail all over this guy is incredible. Not only do you get some great back detail on the back of the legs, but on the front of the legs, you've got mini flux capacitors on his knees. Gigawatt? Kind of sucks that they're unpainted though, but I'm sure that there are plenty of ways to make it look better with some paint, so we'll figure it out. And it's in the transformation itself that's very apparent that this guy is a remold of the Siege Sideswipe mold. Which, funny enough, the last time we talked about it was in the Ectotron review when I said that I customed him into Backtrack. But I've actually changed that up now and said that he's now Crosswise from Transformers Cybertron. Body's still the same though, so you can still get the idea. But yes, very similar, but still both very good looking toys. And the whole reason I made this guy into Crosswise is because I actually made a better version of Backtrack, which, as I mentioned before, is the custom character from Larry Productions in the Back to the Future DeLorean. Just a couple of time traveling dudes. Very nice. Just one more comparison with this guy. We've got to bring Ectotron in, and seeing these two guys as 80s icon vehicles, it's just so nice to have. So why don't we get into the accessories that he has, shall we? Why don't we start with the stick, because I still hate this thing. And ultimately, this thing's useless outside of the vehicle mode. Can't hold it in his hand very well because it's loose. It pegs into the side really weirdly. There are holes in the gullwing doors that you can use, but it's still just overall just is ultimately useless. And the fact that it's made out of rubbery plastic and comes warped out of the box for pretty much everybody who buys this figure. Hello? Hello? Anyone home? Think, McFly. Think. Anyway, setting this aside, probably forever, we've still got the Mr. Fusion here, and again, ultimately useless aside from vehicle mode. But when you bring it in and combine it with the other accessory that was conveniently hidden in vehicle mode, stores away very nicely under the hood, there are a couple of things that you can do with this very Optimus Prime looking gun. You can set Mr. Fusion on top of the gun, which looks fine, I guess, but I think most people will put it on the back of the gun like this. Honestly, that does look kind of better. It's a little hard for him to hold it in his hand, but it still works perfectly fine. Overall, guys, I can't tell you how happy I am to have this figure in my collection. I think the only thing that I would probably want to do is just add an Autobot symbol somewhere, but I'm not sure where. And even so, that's not really a priority. But overall, this guy is great. I love him, I'm very happy, and if you can find him, definitely should pick him up. So, that's been another video from me, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. I've been 01 Trans Fan, the #1, and I'll talk to you all next time. Take it easy, guys.